Okay, great. Also, if you could just press mute if you're not speaking, that would be great. All right, so before we begin, I would just like to acknowledge that we are on the lands of different First Nation groups. I imagine I'm on the lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. We can just take a moment to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands, by remembering that this was, is, and always will be Aboriginal land. So I'm just letting a few more people in. So my name is Felicity. I'm hosting this as part of What Can I Do Australia. We do a range of different things, but we try and be a bit more of the glue between people. We like to promote great ideas, increase networking, and we also have a focus on psychology and empowering people. But today our focus will be on Mamoon and his wonderful journey with solar power. I met Mamoon originally through ACF Inner West and then also through Newtown Climate. And we were talking about his solar endeavors, and I asked him about 6 months ago, I'm a renter. What options are there for renters? And I was very impressed when Mamoon went out and did a bunch of research and came up with a really great answer. So we're really excited to share that with you today. So I'll just pass it over to Mamoon.
Well, thank you, Felicity, for that warm welcome, and thank you for all the work you do for our community, especially on the community building front. I would also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land. I'm dialing in from Newtown, so that is the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. And pay my respect to elders past, present, and emerging. Firstly, thank you, everyone. I know this is a busy time of the year, so thank you for giving up your time and your interest in this topic to be here tonight. I'm going to start sharing my screen and we will take you through my presentation. We don't have the technology glitches, but I'm going to go to presentation mode here. Felicity, let me know when you can see my screen in, hopefully it's in presentation mode. It's in the right screen.
That's right.
All ready to go?
Yep.
Okay, so the structure of the presentation, there's 6 sections I would like to cover. So start with the introduction of who I am, what led me to equity solar. We'll talk a little bit about climate change and energy. I think most people on the call here are probably involved with climate change or environmental groups. That's almost good to touch base. I will then talk about my personal journey with my home electrification. We'll talk about a little bit what the renewable energy transition looks like in Australia. And I guess then we'll move into the solutions. This is probably what most people on this call are here today. We're talking about solar solutions for renters. We'll go into the nitty-gritty of peer-to-peer networking as well. And finally, we'll wrap up with what we can all do. So this is where I'm going to talk about myself. This is my wonderful family. I have 2 teenage daughters. Most of the volunteering work I've engaged with over recent years were driven by my need to have an impact in the space of climate change. After watching many decades of political failures, climate change is a real threat to our way of life. It is not something in the distant future. It is already impacting our life and will have much bigger impact on the lives of my daughters and future generations. I feel that I have a moral obligation to act. So why solar? Why did I choose solar as my answer to doing my bid for climate change? The maths was pretty simple and compelling to me. Changing my energy mix to increase renewables is clearly the biggest impact I could have on my personal footprint without giving up the modern homes of the modern life. And it was also the easiest thing to do. But a very quick Google search will probably get you to this pie chart, which shows that about 30% of our carbon footprint is attributed to our electricity use. And when you add stationary energy, which is another 20%, and this is emissions that are related to electricity generation on site at the power stations, it's almost 50% of our carbon emissions are attributed to our need for energy. So how are we traveling globally with our energy transition? Now, whilst we're actually making good progress with renewables, and the transition is inevitable in my view, because renewables is cheaper, the truth is that we're not transitioning quickly enough, and the global consumption of fossil fuel is at an all-time high. Clearly, the fossil fuel companies have too much money, power, and influence. So if you look at the table on the left-hand side of the screen, this is the largest corporation by revenue from 2023. And 6 out of the top 10 here are companies that are involved in energy and fossil fuel. And if you look on the right-hand side, you see the chart which shows that our need and our consumption of fossil fuel, that it's going up without any change. We are at a global record, despite all the work that is going into clean energy. So here I'll talk a little bit about my personal journey regarding what I've done. So I installed rooftop solar in 2020. I started with a 7.5 kilowatt system. And at that time, my energy bills were about, $500-600 a quarter. So, just over $2,000. And it very quickly fell to about $700 a year. So I was saving about $1,500 a year. But those were the days where you could actually get a reasonable amount of feed-in tariff. So that definitely helped. But over the years, in the next 3 years, I started noticing that the bills were going up again because the feed-in tariff was decreasing. So around this time last year, I found out about Amber, which is an energy company that passes on the wholesale energy rate to retailers, or retail customers rather. So essentially you are connected directly to the wholesale market. And it was a model that appealed to me because it allowed me to sell the energy in my battery at a higher rates in the evening when there was peak demand. And that's been great for me. I was with Amber for about 7-8 months, and within that period, I had no electricity bill. Over the last year or so, I've actually had a credit of about $600-700. So financially, that's worked out for me very well. I've already saved $2,000 from that battery install. But fast forward to 2024, I decided that I had a bit more roof space at the front of my house, and I could install more panels. And if you ask me why, I guess the simple answer is because I could. But the fact that most of my neighbors could not install solar because they had shading issues, maybe they were renting. For whatever reasons, there are many people in Newtown who don't have a good roof to install solar. So I felt, okay, well, this is about the same time I was looking at the peer-to-peer networking as well. So if I can put on the solar, then I can actually send the solar to someone who needs it. So this is what my current system looks like. I've got an 11.2 kilowatt system. I am generating copious amount of energy, a lot more than I need during the day. You can see a graph here from a few weeks ago. I exported 61 kilowatt hour on that day to the grid. By the way, I think today has been a very good day for solar, and I might have exceeded that record of 61. But this is what an energy positive house looks like, one that produces more energy than it consumes. Now, with traditional thinking, that would be, is that a good thing? I mean, why do you need a bigger system than you need, than you can consume? But we'll come to that a bit later. I want to talk about what does renewable energy transition look like in Australia? And I'm going to focus, on solar here because, that's what this session is about. Don't want to digress into discussions about wind and other solutions. And I'm going to borrow some content from the Seize the Sun report published by the Climate Energy Council recently. I did a couple of media interviews for the Climate Council on this report, so I feel obliged to spread the messages in this report. And by the way, this is a fantastic report, and you can get the full copy from their website. I don't have time to do it justice here, but there's a couple of slides that I'd like to go through. So one of the key points from the report is that whilst we are world leaders in rooftop solar, there is potential for us to do much more. There is also great inequity when it comes to accessing solar energy for those of us who are renting and living in apartments. These are areas we need to focus on. And we can more than double our rooftop capacity from the current 23 gigawatt to 29 gigawatts by 2030. And what we do in the next 6 years is super critical to our energy transition. Okay, before we move on from the report, I really want to talk to these fantastic graphics that the report has produced. What I love about this is it shows on the left-hand side the current state. So we've got a hybrid system here. We have some renewables in the network, but more or less we are very much reliant on the fossil fuel to keep lights on during the evening. On the right-hand side, we have a decentralized system, a system where more energy is produced on-site, stored on-site, and shared naturally. It's very different from the top-down model. There is still a little bit of top-down. This is the utility scale renewables. That work has to happen and will continue. And we've got pumped hydro for times when there may not be sun for days on for multiple days. But one thing that is also very critical to notice here, these arrows are not just energy trading going sidewise. It is also money. It means the money is not all going up the supply chain, and we are keeping that money within our community. This is the power of peer-to-peer trading and peer-to-peer networking. Okay, now we've mentioned batteries and storing renewable energy and producing. So I need to talk about the golden duck, also known as a solar duck. I just actually thought of this earlier today, and I changed the name from the solar duck to the golden duck because it actually gives us an opportunity to monetize this problem. So the term was coined in California about 10 years ago, and that's purely because the shape of the graph on the demand graph on the energy network resembles a duck. What is problematic, though, is that you'll see that year by year that the problem is getting more acute. Our demands in the morning peak and the evening peak are getting higher, and as we put more and more solar on our rooftop, the demands during the middle of the day when solar is most productive is going down to the point where some people are saying it's causing grid instability. We're hearing about there's too much solar, we can't have any more solar, the feed-in tariff is doing a nosedive. So those are all real problems, but a solution is very simple, put more batteries on. So let's not waste the energy in the middle of the day. We don't want to waste renewable energy. We want more renewable energy. We want to store it and we want to use it. Speaking of battery, I just want to cover this very quickly. I don't think we've got many people on the call who are looking at installing battery, except for I think I saw Ken, who's looking at installing battery very soon. So good on you, Ken. So this might be very relevant to you. Just my experience over the last year, I've had a battery. I did start off with Amber. It's fantastic in terms of financial return on investment and payback time. It works well. It is higher risk, higher return. So you get a payback in 4 to 5 years. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, you've got self-consumption only. So this is where you're actually not joining a virtual power plant. You're just storing the energy for your own usage in the evening. Some people are happy with it. Some people want to give control of their battery to others. There is a middle, consumption mode as well, which is joining a VPP. So most retailers will offer a VPP option now, and in return you get a little bit of money from them, and they basically will say they will use your battery when there is periods of high demand on the network, and they'll compensate you for that. Also, I must add that currently the New South Wales government has come up with a rebate, and they pay another $300 on top of that for you to be a part of the VPP. So that's all good, but if you are community minded and you don't want to, chase the quick return on investment, then someone with a battery in self-consumption mode can join a P2P network. But I won't hold it against them if they choose to go to the other two options on the screen. Okay, let's move on. Solar for renters, and I'm assuming most people on this call are really interested in this. So let's cover this. And I left you the question a few slides back about my house producing more energy than we needed. Newtown as a postcode, or the postcode of 2042, has 4 megawatt of solar, whereas a suburb like Blacktown has 60 megawatt of solar. We need more solar for us to have a renewable energy dream for the future. So what
Mamoon, sorry, can I just interrupt?
Yes.
There was a question in the chat just on your
Sure.
last point regarding the payback period, if that considers the government grant. Did you catch that? Sorry.
Yes, look, I think these, no, I did. These calculations are done before the government grant. So I think with the government grant, the payback period is going to be even better. You can probably take a year off each of those numbers that I've put up on the slide. If that's from Ken, yes, yeah, spot on. That was done before the government grant. Anything else we want to answer here? Should we have a quick look at this point, pause, and have a look at the questions, Felicity, if you want to ask the questions.
There was just that one question before you moved on from that point. I thought it was better to squeeze it in, but if you want to move on, I think that's good.
All right, all good. Okay, so what options do we have if you are renting? So the first option here is if you are in a rented house, and I wanted to put this in because over the last year I've been looking at it. I've been walking around the streets of the inner west, and there are roofs that could have rooftop solar, and often they don't because they're rented houses. And I think there's a missed opportunity. So this solution is providing an incentive for the landlord. Mostly the landlords are not interested because they think, well, I'll be putting, my hand in my pocket and my money, and the benefit will go to the renter. Why should I do it? So the solution here is to bring in a third party, a developer, who will install and operate the rooftop solar system, and the tenant can simply consume through a PPA or any other mechanism that is suitable. The big thing here is the landlord has a asset which is underutilized or unutilized. So the landlord can get paid for renting out the roof space for us to have more rooftop solar, which I believe is a win-win for everyone. So if you're interested in this, if this is a situation that describes you, then please, get in touch with me. There's a few people that I've been talking with, and they're interested, and they're writing letters to their landlord. So that's probably where it starts. Write a letter to your landlord. If the landlord is started, we can do something about this problem. Okay, so I'm going to move on to with my keyboard. Hello. Okay, there we go. It's finally moved. Okay, we'll move to peer-to-peer trading, or P2P. This is what I'm really excited about. And the reason for that it is actually accessible to pretty much everyone. Whether you have rooftop solar or you don't, it's a win-win for everyone. And by supporting P2P solar trading, you're enabling more rooftop solar and battery storage. You're enabling more renewables to help us get to our 100% renewable targets. So a couple of important things here. For anyone to be able to do peer-to-peer trading, your retailer has to support it. Now, unfortunately, not a lot of retailers, the big retailers don't really support it because I guess they don't really want to participate with the small players. So it's more energy retailers who have a renewable energy messaging in their sales and marketing are supporting this. So I've got a list of few energy retailers. I'm currently with Energy Locals. I've tried Local Vols. They have an interesting model with Local Vols. They pass on wholesale, so it gets a bit complicated for me to follow. So I've tried it for a while, and I've decided Energy Locals is a better partner for me. Next, Business Energy, they do peer-to-peer, but they're mostly business focused. So businesses that have multiple sites, that's what they are targeting. That's the business they're going after. There's also Momentum Energy, NG, Synergy, but do a Google search. There's a few others out there. I haven't tested all of them, but there's a handful I've done, and I've settled with Energy Locals for now because for me, as I set out, I want to keep things simple, and I want to keep my process simple as well. Okay. So what does the P2P trading process look like? So I'm going to use a real example here. So that's me on the right-hand side, and let's say Felicity, I have excess solar, Felicity doesn't have enough, and she wants to access renewable solar. So I'll say, look, I have excess, I'm selling it for 10 cents. Are you interested? If Felicity wants to participate. Obviously, the prerequisites here are both parties need to be on the same retailer that supports P2P. Both parties will have to have a smart meter. Once those prerequisites are met, we can jump onto the platform. Felicity can respond to me saying, yes, that's good, send me a proposal. I'll send a proposal through the PowerTracer platform. So this is PowerTracer is a software that enables, so it sits on top of whichever retailer you're going with, provided that retailer and PowerTracer have the relationship in place. You will use the PowerTracer platform to do your trades. And once the trade is received and accepted, there's a standing trade, and the two of us can trade. So does that mean that once Felicity accepts a proposal from me that she'll be buying all her electricity from me? And the answer is no. This is why I did this, to make sure people understand. So essentially, the peer-to-peer trading operates mostly during the daytime because that's when the solar energy is available on the network. So when the solar energy is not available in the network in the evening, you will go buy it at a higher price at the retailer default. But during the day, once you join the peer-to-peer network, you will have direct trading, or you'll also have indirect trading through your community. And I guess your peer-to-peer, your direct trading would be your cheapest option. So you're not going to have a lot of control over these top two. Once the trades are in place, you'll hope that you've got average price of 11 cents. We hope that most of it is out of one or two, and you can do something about that. You can start changing some of your energy consumption, usage. If you can shift some of your usage from the evening to the daytime, you will save more. So the more you trade, the more you use during the day, the more you save, is the message. So this is a screenshot out of the PowerTracer platform. In this instance, you can see, I think this is dark green and light green. I'm not very good with colors. If I've got that totally wrong, apologies. But the dark green is the energy exports and the light green is the energy imports. You'll see a summary of the imports here. So there is 22% from the peer-to-peer. This is the direct trade. So essentially, if someone's going to trade with me or someone with rooftop solar, that's where that's coming from. There's the community trade, which is a pool, and then there's the retailer default route. So the incentive should be to increase these peer-to-peer and community, do more of these. And you can have multiple people you can trade with. So you don't have to trade with just one person. So let's say, Felicity has a peer-to-peer trade with 3 people on the network. Chances are she will get more peer-to-peer trades. And also if the price are different between those 3 people, she can choose which one she wants to prioritize. She could probably go, all right, I'm getting the cheapest from, Mamoon's offering me 10 cents, someone's offering me 9 cents. I'll go to that one. I'll prioritize that I get that when it's available, and only go to Mamoon when the most cheapest option is not available. So all that is very configurable on the platform. On the flip side of this, I can see that this particular user is selling most of the energy to the retailer default and not through a peer-to-peer. So the incentive for this person would be to find more peers to trade with. Therefore, it's a win-win for both. And from my experience so far, what I've experienced in the P2P network, it is a team sport. If you trade as a community, it's a win-win for everyone. It's a win-win for people who have solar, and it's a win-win for people who don't have solar. Okay, I think I've got a few more slides. So unless there are questions at this point, I will power on. Is there anything in the chat window, Felicity?
Sorry, just realized I was on mute. There's a question in there from Jeff. So it just says, please correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I heard, peer-to-peer energy trading is supported by blockchain technology. How do we know if the tech uses more energy than we'd like to support peer-to-peer? So that's Jeff's first question.
Look, I mean, great question, Jeff. And look, I don't know the details of the blockchain, but I can assure you that this blockchain is not the blockchain for cryptocurrencies, which is very energy demanding. So the way this works, and I don't know the underlying technology too much, but I know enough about how it works, and I'm happy to explain that. So essentially, it's once the electrons are on the grid, it's like water will flow downhill and electricity will go where the the voltage is low, right? So no one can control the electricity. The way peer-to-peer trading works is by getting access to the energy usage data and doing a match. Now they might as well use blockchain technology for that match to make sure it is secure and in terms of accuracy, they get the right result. But it doesn't sound like a very energy hungry process to me. It's essentially getting the billing data from both parties and seeing when they consume electricity. And if there's a match, that's a trade. If there's no match, it's not a trade. Okay.
Jeff had one more
let's
question.
continue.
Sorry, Mamoon. Just one more question. Does the community still pay network charges since they will still utilize the transmission line?
Yes, look, those will all come out of the retailer. So very good question, Jeff. So you will get those bills. So this is right slide to explain that. So you will see that your supply charge and usage charge will be on the bills from your retailer. So the retailer will cover it, and this is why this slide is absolutely the right slide to answer your question as well, Jeff. This is why it doesn't work for everyone, because there is a bit of an overhead. So from the analysis I've done, unless you're consuming about 10 kilowatt hour a day, this probably will not be cost effective for you because of the overhead from the network charge and supply charge and membership fees. I have a friend who did an analysis on 30 years of his, or 35 years of his bills here, which shows that before July 96, your electricity bill was only consumption based, but over the years it has changed a lot to the point today where 40% of your energy bill is actually non-consumption based. And I actually ran those numbers on this figure here on my table, and this works out exactly 40% of this $143 per month is non-consumption. So $34.5 for the supply charge and $21.95, and that's on the energy locals. This is where you can do P2P trading. So that's 40%, and that sort of matches up with the research my friend did here in terms of analyzing the percentage of your bill that is non-consumption based today. Look, it is what it is. The energy market is changing. That's not something we have much control over. And to be fair, that's where things are going. It's getting more decentralized. There'll be more technology. There'll be more monitoring management, and therefore there will be some cost associated with that component. But it will be reflected in your energy bill, Jeff. So that's the answer. It will be there, and it will be in your energy bill. But just to wrap up on this slide, we've got in this particular case, and this is probably one of the best case scenarios. So this person is with PowerShop, and they're currently paying $187 a month. If they switch over to Energy Locals and go on to the membership plan that allows peer-to-peer networking, they will be paying $21.49 per month to access that, but they're still better off because the electricity rates are so much better. So they're still about $40 per week. Sorry, that should be per month, not week. There's a typo there. $40 per month, or about $500 per year better off to switch to Energy Locals and do P2P trading. Okay, any more questions on that, Felicity, before I go to the next one?
No, I think you're going to talk about smart meters, so you'll cover that now.
Cool. Okay, so look, I hope by now you have seen that P2P energy sharing is reasonably easy to access compared to installing solar. However, it may not work for everyone depending on their energy use. I would still encourage everyone to go out and explore for themselves, try out those energy companies that I've put in a few slides back, or you can just do a Google search and see who is doing it. But for those who don't want to get into the nitty-gritty and would prefer someone to do this for them for the price of a coffee per month, so this is my offering. This is what I've come up with, because I know that this could be a bit daunting for a lot of people to do all the trial and error, which I've done, and I'm happy to share my learnings and my knowledge through this product offering. So essentially, it's $4.80 per month. It is guaranteed savings. So the process starts by me assessing your electricity bill. I will not accept someone unless I can guarantee that there is savings, right? So There is a one-off joining fee of $21.95, which is my time to go through all the analysis. However, if the analysis comes back negative for a potential client, I will not accept the money. I'll basically go back to them saying, look, this is not going to work for you. However, if I've done the analysis and it works, then essentially it's $21.95 initial setup fee and $4.80 per month to continue. Now, one thing here, which is often difficult decision for some of the people I've been talking to so far, is the cost of this smart meter. If you have a smart meter, great, you can go ahead. But if you don't have a smart meter, it's $150, and often that's a barrier. So I've provided a special offer here where I will pay for the cost of the smart meter. By the way, anyone who's got solar already has a smart meter, so they don't have to worry about it. This is more about people who don't have solar, may not have a smart meter. But we want to enable those people to come onto the network so they can also benefit from the lower cost of electricity. So the smart meter is $150. People who are good with the numbers will probably figure out, okay, well, I am generating a revenue of 60 plus about $80 a year, and covering the cost of the smart meter, which is $150. So minus $70 a year per customer. Is there a catch? So there is no catch. And now I am just a dad who's trying to enable more renewable for our community. I'm not a big company with big pockets. Some of the larger energy companies might be able to throw around incentives for people to come and join them, but I can't do that. So how do I do this? I don't have big pockets, but what I have is access to a network of climate due diligence. So I have access to philanthropists who are happy to provide a grant. So I applied for a grant for this, essentially. So the $150 that I'm offering would be part of that grant to enable more people to join the peer-to-peer networking. Okay, are there any questions on this one? I guess we're almost coming to the end of it. So if you
I
do
think
have
a
questions,
couple of people have said that with PowerShop they got a smart meter installed for nothing.
yes, yeah. So if you've got a smart meter, great. No problems. But if you don't have a smart meter, and if you are joining Energy Locals, they have a fee of $150 for it. But if you can get your smart meter for free and then switch, great. Sometimes some retailers will do it. For example, when I got my smart meter, it was free. I was with AGL. AGL will do it. Sometimes they will ask you why. I think there was a period a few years ago where there was a push from the network to update smart meters, and a lot of people took it up, some people didn't. So there are some smart meters out there that some retailers will do it for free. But if you happen to get yourself in that position where you have to pay $150, I'm prepared to cover that for you.
Okay, great. Thank you. I guess when I was talking to Mamoon about this, you were saying that the peer-to-peer trading hasn't been going so well in Australia because of the difficulties for people to do the trading themselves, and that you wanted to kind of solve that problem by doing that, making that back-end trading a bit easier for people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I guess even with Energy Locals, you can go to their website, and they're one of the better ones from my research. You can go to their website, you will not find anything about peer-to-peer networking. Now, I guess maybe they don't believe in the commercial success of the concept, or maybe they're better off with having people on other plans. I don't know the reasons. Look, I guess at the end of the day, we're talking about keeping money within our community rather than sending it up the supply chain. So yeah, that's why I want to get behind this, and I want to work towards enabling more solar locally within our communities and sharing that solar. Any other questions there, Felicity? You're watching the chat window.
No questions yet, but I guess if you finish, we could open it up for people to ask now.
I've got a couple more slides. I think just a
Okay,
couple
well,
more
why
slides, and
don't
then
you finish? Yep.
I'll
Okay,
do.
great.
I encourage everyone to jump on and ask their questions. Yeah. So look, I started with talking about climate change, and I'm going to finish with a call to action on climate. What we have on our hands truly is a David versus Goliath battle. But instead of the slingshot, the tools at our disposal are our consumer dollars. When we pay our electricity bills, where is the money going? Are we supporting the status quo? Are we supporting the centralized system? Or do we want a decentralized system with assets sitting behind the meter where we control the assets and the benefits from it? I'm getting a little emotive here, but climate change is a question of shrinking resources and increasing disparity between the haves and have-nots. The fossil fuel conglomerates of the world don't care about the little people and their future. They just want to keep making their mega profits for as long as they can. So, we're in this fight, and when Trump, backed by the fossil fuel tycoon, says drill, baby drill, we say no. We need to fight harder. We need to fight with our consumer dollars, with our solar panels and our batteries. And we need to support more of these assets in the hands of average citizens to accelerate a true future. So finally, I want to ask you for your support to help build a community of fair energy traders. Let's work together to keep more money within our community by sharing energy and not sending our money up the supply chain. I'm going to end here and open up for questions, and I hope people have questions, because I love questions. I guess it gives me an opportunity to answer anything that I haven't covered. But yeah, please feel free to jump on and ask questions.
I think there's a couple of questions. Hopefully, we have a couple more come through. What I think one point you didn't make was in looking into this, you also wanted to find a way to make renewable energy more affordable and cheaper, because that is something that I guess might keep people, say, on coal, is that it can be a bit more expensive.
Yeah, so look, this is the whole conundrum, really, because we keep hearing that renewables are cheaper, yet to the average consumer, we pay a premium to access it. So I mean, look, there are a few good energy companies out there who promote renewables. So Diamond Energy is one that comes to mind, but you actually pay extra if you want green energy. And maybe, I don't know the reasons for it. Maybe there is an additional cost for them to access it. But to me, that's sending the wrong message. If renewables are cheaper, we should be able to. So on a peer-to-peer networking network, when we trade, you're paying half the price. You're paying, on energy locals, you're paying about 12 cents. That's simple truth. You're paying about 12 cents for renewable energy or lower.
Great, thank you. So I'll go through the questions now. So Mavis asks, do the trading partners need to live close by?
Sorry, Felicity, you dropped out there. You broke up a bit, so I couldn't hear you. If you could please repeat that question.
Just, do they need to live near each other, the trading partners? Does it matter where they live?
No. Yeah. No, well, energy locals will cover all of New South Wales and Victoria. So as long as you're within those states, distance is not a matter.
Great, thank you. I think it's more a statement, but from Robin, they've said, I'm wondering whether I can convince my boss to install solar panels so staff can buy the power and she can use it at her home. That sounds like a great idea. I don't know if you have any tips for convincing a boss to do something like that.
Sorry, Felicity, I'm actually having some difficulty with the audio. What?
Just Rob, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
So Robin is saying that they would like to convince their boss to install solar panels so the staff could buy the power and she can use it in her home. I'm just wondering if you have any tips for, I guess it's, convincing a landlord or convincing a boss or convincing someone else to get involved.
Yeah, look, fantastic idea. Fantastic idea. If the workplace has a big roof, then, well, we've got a business case here, right? So essentially, this is the whole thing. This is why I use my example. I mean, I don't need 11.2 kilowatt system, but if I can put that on and I can sell that energy to others who are happy to buy it through peer-to-peer trading, then there is a business case for putting on a big rooftop solar, even if the business doesn't need all that energy, right? So absolutely, I guess the best way to monetize that or convince the boss is you've got a big roof. It's an asset that's not getting utilized. You can make money from it.
Great, thanks. So the next question is, do you need to list your solar panels on your insurance policy? Where?
If you have solar panels on your roof, yes, it should be part of your insurance policy. And by the way, most insurance companies don't charge you extra for it, which is a addition to their policy.
And the trading platform, that was Power Tracer? Yes, I think
That is
Tim has
correct.
shared
So
it.
Power Tracer is the trading platform. So these are the people who collect. In our example, it was me and Felicity Trading. They will collect my energy data. They will collect Felicity's energy data. And by the way, there's about 24-hour lag there. So it'll show up on the platform a day after, because they have to collect the data. They have to run their process through it. Whether it's blockchain or not, I'm not sure, but whatever they do, it is all done by NOC using Power Tracer.
Great, thank you. Ken Hesse, can you talk a bit about solar farms as they could prove a real option for renters if they took off?
Yes, absolutely. Great question there, Ken. So look, I will use the example of haystacks. So that's a solar farm, right? People who, I think there's quite a few of us in the inner West have heard of haystacks. I actually know quite a few people who've actually bought into that scheme. It is quite expensive, I have to say. So it doesn't make a lot of. It's not the cheap renewables that we want, right? You get a 3 kilowatt allocation for $5,000, and then eventually it shows up on your electricity bill. Farm that I would like to promote, and I don't know if I've got Rousseau on the call, because Rousseau from Pocket City Farm actually did register for this event. But so here's one who's looking at doing this as a urban solar farm. So small scale. It's not a big solar garden that is in 5-6 hours away from Sydney, and that needs to be transported back to the big cities. So we're talking about urban solar gardens. We're looking at systems that are usually less than 100 kilowatt. And to unlock that potential, this P2P model is the way to do it. It's a lot easier than, I mean, I've got nothing against haystacks. It's great. I'm actually a member of Pingala as well. So I joined Pingala 2 months back. So Pingala did work on haystacks, but I know that it's very hard to replicate. It took them 4 or 5 years. It was a lot of work. It is not something you can replicate very quickly. So going back to Ken's question, I'm taking coming around to a long way. Solar farms are great, but we also need to produce more energy on site where it is consumed, and doing a urban solar garden model where you can actually, let's say, put a system that is 100 kilowatt if the roof space allows, and put a battery in there is the way to go. That's how we're going to solve problems, and using peer-to-peer networking to sell that to consumers within the local community is a much easier way to go about it than the haystack model.
Well, Ken said he meant solar gardens, not farms. I actually don't know what the difference is.
Yeah, so garden is more community owned, whereas farms are, owned by big companies, and because that's the main difference. And usually farms are bigger and gardens are smaller.
I was just thinking, as we've recorded this, we can send it to everyone on the call in case they want to listen to it back or share it with someone they know. I was also hoping, I know you said you have like a draft letter for landlords. Maybe like I would love to just, I'm not sure if I'm ready to send that to my landlord yet, but I'd love to just read over it. I think that's a great idea that, maybe we jump on the peer-to-peer now, but then maybe we could be working on getting our landlords to install some solar.
Yeah, no, I think that's a
And
great idea, Felicity. And this is what, it's like there is something we can do today, right? And then the peer-to-peer networking is now, right? So let's do peer-to-peer, but let's also work towards increasing the volume of renewable energy locally, right? So yeah, while we write that letter and wait 3 months, and then it's a long process, right? I've got no doubts about it, but the work needs to be done, the problem needs to be solved. But in the meantime, peer-to-peer is easy. It can be done within weeks.
Great. We've got a question from Ross. Does a consumer have to link up with a specific seller? If so, how does it work for a match for the time when electricity is needed by consumer and seller has excess?
Yeah, no, great question. So to trade directly with the seller, you will have to link up. Now, this is one of the problems of P2P networking, and the way I explain it is that you've been invited to a party and you don't know the host and you don't know anyone else there, right? So this is why I've come up with this product offering where I will be the community manager. So if I know who is on the network, then I can link you up with people who have access and they want to sell it to you. And this way you'll make sure, and you want to have multiple of these trades happening. So, if someone turned on their oven and they've got no access to go into the grid, and therefore, there's not going to be a match on your bill, someone else might be putting their electricity into the grid at that time when you are consuming. So that's why it's good to have multiple trades in place. But as a community manager, I can play that role of matchmaker.
Melody's asked, do you have a rate card for your offering at the moment, Mamoon?
Yeah, sorry, rate card for the offering, for my offering.
Yeah, so I'm not sure, Melody, what do you mean by rate card?
Maybe my internet's a bit unstable.
Here we go. Line. So just clarifying, Mamoon, is your peer-to-peer offering available now, and how much does it cost?
Yeah, so it is available now. So it costs $21.95 to join and $4.80 per month. And I will provide a guarantee that the money you spend, you will make it back in savings. And I will only do that once I've assessed your electricity bill. But that is separate. So that's something that I am charging you to manage your energy consumption, provide you, it's advisory, right? Providing you with the advice, putting you in touch with other people that you can buy from. You can join directly without me, and you won't get those other benefits. You can work it out on your own. So, and you'll still get a bill from Energy Locals, whoever you join. So for that extra $80 a year, I am providing those other benefits of showing you how to use it, finding new traders, giving you advice, doing the monitoring and management.
Thank you.
Okay, I saw a few more questions there, Felicity. I'm not sure if you heard tracing them.
I think
where we
that's all
are.
our questions in the chat, but yeah, if we've got any more, we've still got a couple minutes.
Okay, Robin saying circulate the draft letter. Yes, we're happy to do so. Okay, so Ken, you said actually meant solar guidance not farm. Did I cover your question there, Ken? If you're still there, maybe you want to come up.
No, I just wanted to make a comment that for people who don't have a battery, this seems to be a real option for them. If you've got a battery, which means you can then sell to people in the evenings when they really don't have any other access. It is a problem because batteries are still very expensive, even with the subsidy, with the rebate. I mean, it's still to get a decent battery, it's about $1,000 a kilowatt hour to buy a battery. And to pay a battery off, you've really got to go with a VPP because otherwise, particularly if you've reduced your energy use, I've got my energy use down so low that I'm only pulling 4 kilowatt hours a day from the grid on average. That's practically nothing. So I'm not going to save any money by getting a battery, and if I was just to use it for my own personal use, because I'm not using anything from the grid. So there's a real contradiction there, I think, that in order to pay off a battery, you've really got to go down the VPP path, and that then excludes you from doing this.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Spot on. So look, I played the VPP, and I guess I'm doing this now. Even though I've got a battery, I'm doing P2P because of the community focus. But you're absolutely right. The P2P isn't really geared for battery because there is additional cost to store that energy. So when if you sell your energy at 10 cents, you're not going to make your money back from your battery investment, right? So yeah, that is an issue, and therefore, I mean, people who have batteries, peer-to-peer networking isn't really the way to make that investment back. So I'll definitely say, yes, go down the Amber path, go down the PPP path.
I mean, my principal aim is to demonstrate that batteries are cost effective if you go down this path. And therefore, people should explore this as an issue because we need batteries. We need huge numbers of home batteries. We've only got about 250,000 installed in the whole country, 3.9 million solar systems and 250,000 batteries. We need millions of batteries.
Absolutely, and I think hopefully there'll be some federal rebate coming through as well on top of the New South Wales rebate. But I've been writing to politicians for about 4 years about batteries, so I'm very pro battery. The reason I didn't get it before I got it is because of that. Okay, look, I can just buy it, but can I make a use case? Can I make a business case for it? And once Amber was on the scene, I said, you know what? Yes, I can make a business case for it because if you invest that money, you can pay it back in 5 years. When you tell people that invested and you're going to get it back in 12 years, they're like, okay, who's going to do it? It's going to appeal to the masses for us to solve the problem.
Just one final question, Mamoon, from Naomi and Chris. They've asked for peer-to-peer trading. Do you have experience with apartments becoming buyers? And are they likely to face problems with strata, for example, getting a smart meter? Oh, sorry, Naomi and Chris, you're the owners. So you're wanting to purchase from someone else with solar, or you're wanting to install solar?
We're wanting to purchase from someone else with solar.
Okay, great.
Yeah, no, that shouldn't be a problem at all. I guess we call this solar for renters because our inspiration to come up with this solution was solving the problem for renters. But if you own your apartment, yeah, no problems. It's exactly the same thing. You can definitely join, and once you're on the right plan with the right retailer, you can access that peer-to-peer. You can share energy that is being produced on your neighbor's rooftop.
All right. Well, we want to finish up there,
Thank you
and
very much,
just
Jen.
reiterating what Ken says, that this is wonderful work of Mamoon, and we're so happy to be able to share what you're doing with an audience, and hopefully more and more people can find out about this option and what you're offering as well. We just have one final question before we finish up. If my energy provider doesn't offer free smart meters, how much should I expect it to cost to be installed by an electrician?
Don't go to an electrician. The electrician is going to cost you, charge you a lot of money. You still go through your energy provider. So in this case, if your current one doesn't, move over to energy locals, and I can then organize it for you at $150. But like I said, if it's if you join what I'm offering, then that will be paid back after 12 months. If you stay for 12 months, the cost of the smart meter will be paid back. So essentially zero cost for you after 12 months.
All right, wonderful. Well, we're at time now, so we might finish up there. But thank you so much, Mamoon. That was excellent. And thank you for everyone who has joined today. We will send out the recording and also that letter for landlords in case you're interested or anyone you know is interested. Did you want to say anything, Mamoon, before we close up?
Yeah, no, thank you very much. I just wanted to thank you very much, Felicity, for organizing this event. And it's all about community. So at the end of the day, we work together. We keep the money flow within our community. But please do reach out to me. Just you've got my email there. I think it was on one of the slides, but I might just put it in here in the chat just in case someone missed it. So let me finish with that.
I can also add it into the email that we send to everyone it'll be for anyone who signed up on Humanitics.
Maybe that might be easier because I think people will have access to it. Yes. Okay, maybe I won't do it in the chat. Let's do it by email. So thank you everyone for giving up your time and joining this call and your interest.
And if you didn't sign up with the Humanitics and you got this link another way, let me know so I can give you that information as well. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Mamoon.
Thanks, everyone. Night.
Thanks so much.
Good
Thanks,
evening.
Fantastic presentation.
Thank you, Ken. Really appreciate it. Cheers. Bye. Good night.